Oh, we are live. All right, no intro, no timer. I guess we'll do the quick intro. Glorious morning, Pythians. I have Mark again today with me for a good one. How are we doing today, sir?
GM, doing good, doing good. Run it back to your bow, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
Ibashi
last week.
last week?
Yeah, that was last
Damn.
week.
Couple down only events, but
No,
we're back.
I don't know what you're talking about. Let me get the stream boosted a little bit. If you're in there, don't hesitate to repost so we get as many viewers for an absolutely banger chat. I know it's going to be a good one yet again with Afif from Ethereal, which I think is super interesting what they're building. I think the couple of the news that maybe the community cares about is the price feed councils and Python councils.
Yes, I was gonna ask to share this. So little PSA, Pith Network, Pith DAO related. You may not know, some may know. The Pith Network, the protocol is governed by the Pith DAO, aka Peace Takers, that have delegated quite some powers regarding to ops, price feed management, publisher management, contract security upgrades, etc., to an elected council. It's been 18 months, yes. So councils are elected for 6 months, and it's time to vote for the fourth iteration of the Pythian Council and the Price Feed Council. I think the main account tweeted yesterday about the Price Feed Council. You should see a Pythian Council tweet soon. But TLDR, for the next 2 weeks, you can go on the Pith forum and nominate yourself for one of these councils. And I think on Monday, 17th November, we've planned to have like a one-time kind of multi-choice vote on realms so that the peace takers can vote to elect their future council members. So we're following New York, I guess. I don't know if there is like a prediction market on elections yet on the Pith DAO. Maybe we should call Shane and get stuff going. And actually, as a matter of fact, if I'm not completely crazy, I think that our guest today was part of the first ever Pythian Council. If I'm not crazy, Afif, and I mean, we'll ask Afif. But no, yeah, that was the shell I wanted to give. And maybe one recap from last week. Last week we shared the entropy bounty grants. I think couple chads already done 90% of the work, but go check because there might still be some pith left up for grabs.
Nice. And I guess that's the perfect introduction for Afif here. GM, sir, how are we doing today?
GM, thanks for having me on, guys. And yeah, I was part of the first Pythian Council, Mark. It's good to be remembered.
And you had it rough because since then, I think it was 6 months ago, we finally introduced T-Pens. The PISDAO introduced T-Pen for council members. So back then, it was all for charity. Nowadays, it's for it's for some sweet peace token. But yeah, no, I mean, always appreciate it. It's pretty cool to have like end users, let's say, being active and doing things on product they use. So, but thanks again for your time there and contribution.
Yeah, it was a blast, and yeah, the council model, like, it can be really fun for the community. It was a lot of fun at Synthetics for a while. Yeah.
But you can actually start this, but like we'll have maybe to revamp a bit because some do hate council, some like council, so it's kind of hard to find a common ground. It feels like nowadays it's governance seems not necessary anymore. Feels like we can just YOLO stuff in this new crypto economy.
Yeah, totally.
No, but Afif, thank you for taking the time this week with us to kickstart, I'll throw an easy one. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and maybe how you got into crypto originally?
Yeah, for sure. So I got into crypto a while ago, and then I really got into crypto from just kind of living in the Synthetics Discord during during the bear market days, like 2018, 2019. And that I think was like one of the things that really pulled me in, like just the concept of like what Synthetics was building at the time. I felt like it really resonated with me and a lot of users, even if obviously like the vision was a little bit ahead of the product at the time. But yeah, I joined the Synthetics core contributors, and we spent a few years building like on-chain perps and thinking about like generalized on-chain derivatives and liquidity, and I think the space has changed a lot since then. But a lot of the philosophy and goals that we had at Synthetics kind of still drive a lot of what we're trying to do at Ethereal today.
How did you stumble onto synthetics at the time?
Yeah, good question. I want to say it was r/ETH trader post. I don't remember which, but something there talked about the Synthetics Discord, and then I showed up. And then what really got me more active in the server was there was like this Oracle exploit happening on like Christmas morning one day or Christmas Eve or something. Somebody was like manipulating a Uniswap pool for Maker. And I think I was like one of the first people to spot it and go and flag it in the server. And everything just moved so quick. And I was like, oh, like you can actually see things and do things. And people kind of like, there's actually a community, behind this thing. And that was like, I think when I was like fully hooked. And I know it was like a little minor crisis, but not that big of a deal, but just like the engagement of it all.
It's crazy how each time just a flat circle. Because when I first ever discovered synthetics, I mean, I guess it was like DeFi summer. Like you could trade stocks on or synthetics of stocks. I recall seeing like Tesla, etc. And I guess in the past couple weeks or months, it was maybe 2 weeks ago. It was the like top narrative wise of perp stocks. So like was synthetics like 6 years ahead of its time or?
Yeah, I mean, I think like it was in a lot of ways. I think like literally like the vision of synthetics at the time, I think nobody has still fully like achieved that, right? Like the kind of like trade everything, and now everybody's like perpify everything. And I think I mean there's some obvious differences. Like I think nobody wanted a 1x like synthetic stock token. Maybe they want. I think there's still a lot of debate on if they want a 10x stock perp. People seem to think they do. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of like DeFi summer was like super, super just ahead of its time on narratives and products. And now we're starting to see a lot of those actually get brought to market.
And so now Ethereal. For the ones watching that may not be too deep in the USD Ethena, can you give us a quick simple intro into what you guys are building with Ethereal right now?
Yeah, for sure. So USDE, for anyone who's not familiar, is this like synthetic dollar that was sort of built around like crypto basis delta neutral positions as a yield source and a collateral backing. And I think it's something that had been tried a bunch of times on chain. Athena finally made it work by just bridging to centralized exchanges for liquidity effectively, and scaled it like 1,000x more than anybody else had scaled it in the past. So we've been following it. Like I've been following it personally. Like I've known Guy personally for a couple of years. I was very interested in that model, and like it was what actually got me into building on-chain perps. Originally at Synthetics, I wasn't actually in like 2020 super bullish on bringing retail traders on chain. The at the time like the tech just wasn't really there to build something that I felt like was ever going to rival centralized exchanges. Now we can. But I felt like the composability was really something to leverage. And so I thought like building this type of stable coin, on top of on-chain perpetuals kind of made a ton of sense and was a really cool product. And then Athena kind of just did it and did it really well. And so now we, as like big believers in the model and in Athena and USDE, we want to build like an ecosystem of stuff to do with USDE that taps into like this like scalable, structurally better than average yield as a core feature of the product.
Okay, so I guess for now, Ethereal mainly is perps, so I can use USD as collateral for my long or shorts on a bunch of assets.
Yeah, exactly. So that core alpha product right now is like you said, just perps. There's like some slight differences. You get USD as the core margin. It's a little bit different from like having it as like a portfolio margin asset on Binance. It's a little bit because users are all sort of implicitly agreeing to settle in USDE. You don't have a lot of these weird tail risk scenarios or any other things that come along with using it as portfolio margin. Like for instance, if you are using it as margin on a centralized exchange, but you're trading the USDT pair, if you have an unrealized loss, you pay an interest rate on that unrealized loss. And you kind of only get yield on up to a certain amount of your margin. On Ethereal, it's basically auto compounding your entire margin balance. There's no interest rate on your negative P&L, and you can even get the positive interest rate on positive unrealized P&L.
How do like enabling collateral to actually earn, like collateral that is used to trade to actually earn yield is like crazy. And I guess you might have some numbers on how much like USDC or stables is lying around in perp dexes used for trading that just not getting any yield whatsoever. You might have done the math or the research or not.
It's billions, right? Like I think the amount left on the table on just Hyperliquid alone in yield is like hundreds of millions a year, and probably why they're kind of going pursuing other avenues like USDH and such. But yeah, no, it's a very big opportunity for sure.
And so, how does it work in practice? Let's say I have USD, and I think you're doing like, and after we'll get into it. I guess the trading, like it's in, I guess, beta or like access code right now. But how does technically the yield bearing collateral or USD works? Do people bridge or deposit USD? Do you like stake this in SUSDE and give like a receipt token? How do you manage to still give the collateral while people can trade?
Yeah, it's very simple for the user actually. Like you can deposit like pretty soon the deposit experience will be from any chain USDE is supported directly into your margin account, like in like a few seconds or so. And then from there, the USDE rewards are just airdropped directly onto your margin balance periodically. So I think the end state of what we want the UX to look like is it's kind of just continuously accruing, and you can just watch it tick up like every second, and then you can kind of just claim, as often as the user wants to. Initially, you just get it like daily, something on like that cadence, daily or weekly. But yeah, it's just automatically comes from Athena directly into your margin account as if it was like staked USDE.
Very cool. And so now there's, I think Mark mentioned, it's Alpha Mainnet, I believe is the how you guys are calling it. What's going on right now? Any ETAs or things that we may look forward as degen traders ourselves?
Yeah, so it's a very limited alpha right now. We did a pretty, I think our top priority is always safety and stability. And so we did like about like a 6-month testnet period with multiple competitions and tons of like load testing, fuzz testing, several audits before even launching the alpha mainnet. And then now we want to also just keep the scale of what's in the platform fairly small and the number of users fairly small to do further testing, but with real money, because you kind of like surface more user behaviors that just ultimately are not going to be there on testnet. But we're aiming to, so far it's gone pretty well, and we're aiming to start ramping up access a little bit more like over the next couple weeks, and like certainly by the end of this month, I would expect probably like 10x or more users and activity on the platform for sure.
Were you already? Was it still testnet for October 10, or were you already on this alpha mainnet?
It was still testnet.
And how did you see it from the inside?
I mean, I think definitely like October 10 is probably not something you want to happen on the first month of your perp stacks. So it was definitely good that we were on the other end of that. There's also just a lot to kind of learn. Like it's like a once in 5 years type of event. I feel like I don't think we've had something like that. Maybe even more, depending on like how severe this ends up looking. But you definitely learn a lot from, like, I don't think we even had many perp stacks at the time, 5 years ago. And so there's definitely a lot to learn about how do the systems perform, under open adversarial conditions. Like you kind of don't have a lot of the fallbacks that centralized exchanges can have by virtue of like KYC and being able to pause certain things. So yeah, it was good learning experience, I think, for everybody. Definitely saw a lot of the other, perp stacks, I think, coming out from that day like stronger, which is, I think, overall good for the industry. And yeah, I think for us, like, we always like to watch these things and just kind of see what we can take away. I mean, I think it definitely validated a lot of our design choices, so that was also good. But yeah, overall, very informative. Glad it didn't happen 2 weeks later.
I was thinking, as you accept like USD and pass on the yield to traders, like maybe tell me what I'm missing, because it feels like there's gonna, like, everyone that does basis trading should then just start using USD and go do the basis trading on Ethereal, because you can make the money from basis trading plus the Ethena yield, which is already basis trading kind of derived. So would this work? Like, do you expect people to just like kind of double loop this basis trading style, or it makes no sense? And I'm saying nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, like, it really it's most powerful in helping you scale from zero, while it doesn't become too much of like a perpetual motion machine type of thing. So I think like, and we're getting tons of inbounds from like very large like USD LPs or people who are running a lot of delta neutral strategies elsewhere, where they're just telling us like even 4 to 5% on margin really moves the needle for us a lot on our delta neutral strategies. So we think it's going to be something that a lot of power users love. We're also experimenting with other ways to sort of use that as a way to keep non-power users like engaged and like gamified a little bit more. But yeah, no, it already seems like it's something that's just kind of like hugely in demand and will help sort of scale the liquidity and bringing in capital to the platform very quickly early on. So it's a very powerful mechanism, despite kind of just seeming like conceptually simple. Get 5 to 10% on your margin can have really powerful downstream effects.
And I mean, for now it's perps, but I'm pretty sure you guys are talking about expanding to spot, RWAs, prediction markets. What are you think the core next, I'd say, building blocks of the, Ethereal as the Ethena network that, can attract more than just perps trader?
Yeah, I think when we sat down and thought about what we wanted to build early on, we thought about the industry sort of, and I mean like on-chain perps industry, not the entire industry. But we thought about this vertical kind of like from first principles and thinking about like, what do we learn from, doing this for several years at Synthetics before? what ultimately brings users to these products, what makes them stay. And I think one thing that was very clear to me several years ago is that perp dexes were just like hyper cyclical businesses for a while. Even crypto itself is very cyclical, but then perp dexes are kind of like cyclical squared, right? Like there was just like lots of liquidity and volume coming in really, really fast, and then it would leave really, really fast, and they were just very, very reflexive. And it was kind of like the core reason is that money wants to come in when it wants to gamble, and then it leaves very quickly because there's like almost nothing else there, right? So I think like there's opportunity cost of leaving margin in an account that's not earning anything. There's opportunity costs of not being able to trade spot directly from the same platform or having them integrated within a single margin account. And ultimately, like it's kind of just like the lack of feature completeness, I think, that makes them so cyclical. So that from like day one, we kind of wanted to make Ethereal into an everything app, and like USDE is just a really great base to use because it kind of solves the yield problem for you on day one, and it's very scalable to like billions of dollars. And it's sort of just been in parallel. We've had all these parallel tracks running of building like money market, spot product, prediction market, because it just seems like these are the things that are most in demand. If you look at like which products have PMF on chain, those are kind of it, right? Like stable coins, money markets, perps, like now prediction markets too. Wouldn't it be great if you could not have to do all of those on a different chain for each and have it all in one place?
Yeah, and just and having it like still yielding is crazy. I'm no TradFi trader, etc. But I think whether you're on Ameritrade or something, any cash you have on hand is like lent at the whatever rate, overnight rate, etc. But it's just great that it's not like you don't feel compelled to trade to make some money. You can just have it sleep a bit and wait to buy the blood, catch those knives, and get instantly liquidated like I do. And so on your end, like as you want to have all these kind of into a super app, are you more of the team will build it all, or a bit more like the synthetics vibe of actually we are just providing kind of the tooling and anyone can then come on top and build like a consumer facing app that arguably someone won't even know it's like USDE powered?
A little bit of both. I think we're definitely very actively building a lot of this. Some of it in house, and some of it we're working very closely with teams who we've chosen to partner with on this, so that there's just groups that can own very specific things and focus on it 100%. I think like that model ultimately is like one of the benefits of building on chain, the model that you mentioned, where that like we did at Synthetics, where you kind of just want to have it be like some SaaS backend, and anybody can build on top of it, right? We're kind of so like we've seen that really take off with Hyperliquid kind of making its way into wallets and tons of apps out there. Just plugging it in, it's starting to also kind of materialize with Polymarket. I think this is just like one of the benefits of having everything be open and composable, right? Anybody can use it, and I think like we certainly want to leverage that as well, and we want to kind of bring USDE to as many people as possible through all of the products that Ethereal will ship, and is happy to sit in the back end of other people's applications as well.
Another thing that seemed to got crazy traction recently, I mean, for maybe a couple months now, is those crypto cards. I think EtherFi is being like super aggressive and growing with it. Are there some USD credit card out there already, or not yet?
Not to my knowledge, but I would not be surprised if there was very soon, and I would not be surprised if at some point that was something you could use on Ethereal.
As long as it comes with Afif Pace on the physical credit card, I'm all in. Anything else? So yeah, so right now it's access gated. how would one? So I was shameless this morning. I pinged in our group chat to get a little access so I can go get liquidated in prod and give you some testing material. But if I am not connected to you guys, how would I go about getting my hands on Ethereal?
Yeah, best way, I mean, you can join the waitlist or just pre-deposit into the platform right now, and both of those things kind of improve your odds of getting access sooner. There's a lot of things that are kind of taken into consideration when someone touches the waitlist or touches the app. So if you trade a lot on chain, my recommendation would just be to hop on the waitlist and deposit some money, and it'll probably happen sooner than you think.
Very cool, and I think Pythians might have a few codes laying
Ooh.
around. I have negotiated with a friend from Ethereal as well to get some codes for our goated traders. So in case you're watching, oh, I think he's in the chat as well. But we might have a few codes. What are the key, the top 2-3 focuses, priorities right now? Coming on a public mainnet that I don't know if you've hinted or said anything about any dates. What are some of the little things that you guys are fully locked in right now?
I mean, I think we're pretty much 100% focused on the core product right now and scaling it up more. Probably don't want to give a firm date yet. We're not really sure what that can't be sure what that'll look like as we scale. But I think it doesn't necessarily need to be fully open to have tons of people using it. I think Lighter only recently became fully open, and there was tons of people using it before then. But yeah, I think that, and we are pretty keen on rolling out this prediction market product as well in the next month or two. Those are, I think, what the teams are pretty focused on right now. And yeah, we think that our users are going to have a lot of fun with it.
What are the markets you have listed on for now on the perp side?
Usually start small, just 10. So majors, and then some of the things that are popular to trade right now. So ETH, BTC, Sol. I think Hype, Fartcoin, Pump have done a lot of volume on the platform so far. But once we feel like everything is in a good place, which will probably be pretty soon, we'll have more of a community-driven listings process to request markets, and we'll be onboarding users a lot more quickly and keeping the community engaged and stuff.
I was thinking, and the big suite of protocols could be a perp market. It might not be the most efficient to trade those, but stablecoin DPEGs. It feels that it was the topic of the week, or it's still the ongoing topic. And back in the day, we had Y2K Finance. I don't know if you recall, where you could choose kind of like option, where you could just pretty much put some money and profit in terms of or in case of pegs. Feels like a proper great product to have with USD. Performed flawlessly, during 1010, even if there was crazy stuff happening. It was quite impressive, and there was tons to read about it. And if same time I get my strong stable stablecoin, earn my yield, and I can gamble on some others depegging. So I would put a +1 on this product.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll definitely keep it in mind.
Live suggestions. Now to shamelessly shill or get some shill about Pyth. Can you maybe give us an insight on how Pyth price feeds come into the workings of Ethereal?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much use them almost everywhere. I think a lot of perp stexes will, at minimum, you should be using a third-party price provider, and in Pyth's case, the best third-party price provider for either as part of your mark price or how you're calculating funding, your index price, etc. We also like, and I think like this was one thing that we loved working with you guys on, like even like several years ago at Synthetics, is that everything can be validated in a smart contract on chain. So we also, the Ethereal smart contracts validate like every time you need a price data, if it's for like for liquidation or funding update or whatever, we validate with pith prices, signed price updates at every level within our stack. So I think yeah, we use it everywhere, and it's like for the best kind of like performance and security.
Because as you mentioned, you have multiple places where you could use. If you are fully order book based, arguably you don't need it into your mark price, maybe a circuit breaker, but you need it in funding rate, plus collateral valuation. And because otherwise, like, I guess you don't want to do what Binance did, where it's just like you look internally at what's the price on my exchange and I'll value all my collateral, all my assets derived from my own exchange prices.
Yep, exactly. I mean, if you can just pass any arbitrary price to the smart contracts without kind of any guarantee that it's a real price, it's I think it's certainly not optimal, and it also carries a lot of other kind of like issues and risks with it. So yeah, that's why we like to have it validated at every step.
And how do you, like, building an exchange, how do you go about, or how think about like all these circuit breakers, for example? Like in TradFi, they're pretty, like, anything that moves like 10%, boom, trading halted or approximately. Crypto's way less. I think 1010 like 3 weeks ago was actually, I don't remember exactly, but Binance stopped trading for a bit, etc. So as you build something, and as you mentioned, centralized exchange have way more power. They can post stuff, withdrawal, deposits, etc. Like, arguably revert what happened. Um, how do you approach this as a protocol that's fully on chain? And if something happens, like, it's not that easy to fork out and do a if DAO stuff of forking out and restoring balances. So how do you proactively minimize the risks or try to go about it?
Yeah, it's actually funny coincidence. Like a week before 1010, on one of our weekly calls we do with Chaos Labs, who does a lot of the risk advisory stuff, we were actually discussing circuit breakers and what sort of inspiration we can kind of take from that model for and adapt it to DEX trading. And it ended up just being like the most timely kind of discussion to have. But yeah, as you say, like you can't really carry it over one-to-one. There's a lot of assumptions that you make when you do something like that, like being a primary venue, or having for price discovery, or having the agreement to have like legal agreements, or do margin calls and all these sort of things that protect the solvency of the system. All of that is definitely a lot harder, at least, or if not impossible, to do with a DEX, which is really just software. And you certainly can't like just like circuit break markets and then let the price discovery happen elsewhere and continue evolving. So it's something that we think about. I'm sure it's something that a lot of people think about, of ways to kind of introduce mechanisms that can promote market stability when things are clearly breaking. I think us and a lot of DEXs are more focusing on how not to break when demand gets very high for now, and then maybe thinking about ways to use that to improve stability in the future. But yeah, nothing really concrete at the moment, but it's definitely something we've given a lot of thought to.
And maybe one last thing, I said this morning, I think it was Jordi from Salini, tweeting, and I mean tweeting against, tweeting against like high perp, like pre-market perps. So I think we start seeing a bit more like, I mean, you had like pre-market, I think really grew like maybe 1 or 2 years ago, mostly on centralized exchanges. After you had the whole points meta, like Whales Market, you can trade points. And most recently, we have like actual derivatives protocol launching, like pre-launched perps. How do you feel about those? Because And I think Jordy's point was like, it's the worst price discovery possible because arguably it's just gonna YOLO up and down. There's zero liquidity, so you're just rinsing everyone. So wondering if you have thought about it and are looking to do those at all on Ethereal or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely something that's really in demand, and we'll always try to meet the market demand. I think there's definitely maybe some ways to improve upon like the design of kind of just these self-referential perps markets that ultimately can just become a battle of who's willing to throw more money into the thing, and maybe not necessarily like the best things for users. I think ultimately like you want to have somebody on the other side who's like got real exposure to the thing, right? I think if you want to kind of build it thoughtfully like that, so that you don't have these weird like Justin Sun comes in and wants to buy all the XPL tokens types of things. So yeah, we definitely want to support it, and like we're trying to work with partners on ways to bring good liquidity quickly that is not kind of in this weird PvP model.
Oh, cool. Very cool. I don't have any other questions that come to mind. Do you have a question that we didn't ask you that you'd want to answer?
I think you covered it all. I think you covered it all. Appreciate you guys having me on and letting me share the Ethereal story. And yeah, so as always, it's good to see you guys.
Yeah, no, thanks, Afif. And I guess I have one last that we always end the stream with my usual co-host Chop, so I'll do him the honor. If you were today to enter or interested in entering the crypto industry, and looking for a job, an opportunity, or something along these lines, what would be the advice you'd give yourself, knowing everything that you know now?
Great question. I mean, I think one of my favorite quotes along these lines is like something. I think goes something like allocate your time. Allocate your time where other people are allocating their capital. And so like you can always sort of get a sense of like what's important to people from that by like people putting their money where their mouth is. And I think it's definitely important to approach that from like longer time frame views and not like I think a lot of people in crypto get sucked into endlessly trend chasing. But if you kind of take a step back and look at like what are the things ultimately that people are trying to make happen in this space, and then just go after that 100% with 100% of your time and energy, which is like in what we're doing at Ethereal. And what I think like a lot of people in the space, a lot of builders are doing. I think that's like best way to do it, so that you kind of really get everything you're looking for.
I mean, I'm gonna rock the classic. If this was supposed to be the last question, but kind of personal. But I mean, for what the first time I've been in Synthetics Discord and we chatted on DMs, etc., on groups, you were always anon. How like with the Ethereal coming up, etc., how like bigger it becomes, you turn. You de-anonymize yourself. How has it been? Do you regret it? Do you wish to still be referred to as FIFA, or how has it been?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been like purely anon. Even in the Ethereal Discord today, I am just FIFA. That's just my handle permanently. But I think like it was more of like a if you know, you know sort of thing. Like everybody, like people in Synthetics Discord, and it would drive me crazy. But periodically, they would post like some publication I had from grad school, or like my high school football highlight video, or something like that. And, like,
We need to see this now.
Yeah.
So I've never been like totally anon. Like I definitely see the appeal. It is nice to just kind of have that like OPSEC and not really ever have to worry about, like I know a lot of people in crypto are just like very sensitive about it, and for good reason, right? Because you see all of these things of like so and so was kidnapped, tried to get their ledger, like this and that, like all that crazy stuff.
Definitely doesn't happen in France either.
Yeah, so I see the appeal, but I've never really been like 100% committed. It's, honestly, being 100% committed to it also sounds like there's a lot of upkeep you have to do to stay committed to it. So definitely, I'm happy as I am now, but I see the appeal.
Do you think it helped the project being bigger, like having a known, recognizable face? Do you think it gives naturally to people some extra trust, or like, okay, it's not like a cartoon guy that's just gonna close the website and run away?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I think that like that's an important part of it. People want to believe in what they're. It's kind of like building a community around like a vision for a product and stuff. People want to believe in the vision and believe in the people who are building it, and believe that their intentions are pure and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, that being said, like there's also certainly plenty of cartoon faces out there that have built up a lot of trust and from users and without ever having to really reveal their identity. So again, like I think it works both ways. It's just a matter of the specific situation.
So now for everyone, instead of shouting in the Ethereal Discord, can devs do something? You can say, can Afif do something?
They do frequently, so we've got that covered.
Amazing. Well, Afif, thank you. Thanks a ton for the time. Super excited about what you guys are building over at Ethereal. I will make sure to get the Pythians, the few codes that we have scratched out of madgov.eth in here. But yeah, thanks a lot for the time and super excited about what's coming up.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. It's good chatting.
Pleasure.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
This was good.
This is big. I mean, third biggest, I guess, stablecoin. Having a perp, like native perp with your stablecoin, yield bearing. I mean, what's not to like, I guess. I mean, not having access right now. That's maybe the thing, but it's coming soon. And Afif, I mean, synthetics, the various version that went like were always super well designed. Like Afif has been at the forefront of on-chain derivative for quite some years. So definitely super excited to see what they're gonna cook with USD and Ethereal.
And I might have to, for the guys that follow a bit of the NFL, I might have to find that highlight reel and actually send it to the male Kuipers and see what round would Afif would have been drafted in the NFL.
At first trillion total volume, we'll do beyond the price and we'll start the stream with the highlights.
Yeah, exactly. New intro video just dropped. Amazing. Any clothing thoughts? What's happening on our side?
Check our latest tweet. I'll repeat for what I said in short at the beginning, but check the Pyth Network most recent tweet, I think from yesterday, around the election happening within the Pyth DAO. It's nomination time. So if you want to be a counselor, you may, or you should, or you must nominate yourself on the forum first. I think we have like about 2 weeks, a bit less, 12 days to do that. And then we'll go for an on-chain election. So yeah, go become and apply and hopefully become an operator of the Pyth Network.
You heard the boss. Go check it out. No, and I think what we're ramping and prepping a bit is the last final events of the year, where I think Mark, you'll be traveling a bit to South America for what?
DevCon. So DevCon is in 2 weeks, and a few days before I'll be at Ship House. So it's an event organized by Fluent, which is a blockchain that, I mean, pretty cool, where you're able to use multiple different VMs like SVM, EVM, CosWasm, etc. They're having a Ship House in Argentina, so I'll pass by there. DevCon, and we'll have a handful of team members there. We are a sponsor of ETH Global, so you'll see me at the hackathon. There is a PIF track. I'm likely front running some announcement here. I didn't know. Your Honor, I didn't know. But no, yeah. So we'll have peace track, peace bounties, some sweet monies to win if you build something cool with PIF products. And it can be around price feeds. It can around about randomness with entropy. So yeah, that's for South America, November. And we're gonna finish the year strong, I guess, with Breakpoint. So we'll be in force for Solana Breakpoint in Abu Dhabi mid-December. And I'll be personally at Binance Blockchain Week just before in Dubai. Again, I don't want to front run too much announcements, but yes, that's the two last before the biggest event of the year, Christmas, and we can all take a bit of rest.
No, so you've taken quite a few tweets away from the real intern that now doesn't even get to break the news. No, but yeah, I'll be likely attending Breakpoints, so and I will be walking cameraman to get as much content as possible out and see a bunch of goated Solana builders. So I'm pretty excited about this personally. Mark, thanks for the time. I don't know who's coming on next week. I hope to have Chubb back on a more reasonable time for him. And no, I think Pythians, thanks for attending as usual. Been a blast. This was episode 28. And hopefully we get an as good as episode 29.
Drop in the comments who you want to see
Yes.
for episode 29.
Go bully some cartoon account Twitter that needs to come on here.
And like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. This is the YouTube arc. No, again, thanks a lot, and see you guys next week.